never made it, but I know what it takes. I'm motivated by a mix of emotion. Got my statement, and I'm reading it slow so I can understand it fully. Appreciate my standing, go out of this world and right on time. Oh, never in my life have I seen the sky light up like this. I'm far away from Earth and I wanna know if you exist. Mission control, do you read me? Send me my coordinates lately. Mission control, am I drifting? Tie me to someone who will love me, yeah. Wait, I think I'll last a bit longer. Fine, I'm not.
Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd family part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. Today, we're going to be talking about the NBA here on the channel, and we're also going to talk about a little bit of the NFL with some of their games coming up this weekend. Now, the NBA started this year a little bit earlier than usual, but not too much earlier. It normally starts right around Halloween. It's usually like the 27th, 28th. So it started a little bit earlier this year. And for a lot of people, the NBA doesn't actually start until right after Christmas. Of course, we always have the 5 games in a row every year on Christmas that gives the NBA a chance to hog the TV all day long on Christmas. And to a lot of people, that's when the NBA season actually starts. It's funny because everybody gives Major League Baseball a hard time saying the baseball season lasts too long, but yet NBA lasts longer than baseball does, and nobody complains about that, which I totally don't understand whatsoever. But this is actually probably the most excited I've been about the NBA in many, many years, but it's probably because I'm a New Orleans fan, and this is about the first time that I've actually had expectations on them in about 10 years. I think they have a chance to be really good this year and finish as a 5 or 6 seed in the regular season. Now, they're not going to the NBA Finals, but I do think they have a chance to win a playoff series. And as bad as they've been, for as long as they've been bad, making the playoffs as a 5 or 6 seed and even winning one playoff series would be really, really good. Now, I won't talk about the Clippers and the Lakers game from last night because I don't really think either one of those teams is going to make any noise in the Western Conference this year. I think the Clippers are deep as far as their roster goes, but I still don't think they're any more than about maybe a second-round playoff team because we know Kawhi Leonard, even though he played last night, we know Kawhi Leonard is going to be hurt, and the Clippers have no chance of winning the finals without Kawhi Leonard, and Leonard's going to play about 20 games in the whole season. That's what he does. His body is made from Charmin toilet tissue. He'll play about 20 games, maybe. But I will mention the early game from last night, the Bucks and the 76ers. The Bucks come out on top 90-88. It was their first game of the year. The 76ers already played their second game of the year. But I bring that game up because if you ask me right now who I think is going to play in the NBA Finals, I'm going to tell you it's going to be the Bucks out of the East and the Warriors out of the West because they look like the two most dominant teams, but that's boring. That's pretty much chalk. That's what everybody's going to tell you unless some fan is just overly optimistic and can't see the forest for the trees because of their optimism about whoever their team is. Most people that know anything at all about basketball are going to tell you that it's going to be the Bucks out of the East and the Warriors out of the West. But I hope it's not. Not because I have anything against either team, but that's just boring. You don't want a predictable season. And right now, that would be very, very predictable. But it's hard not to go with that because they look like the two best teams overall. But I hope at least one of them does not meet expectations so that we can say, hey, there's something we didn't expect. We might see some upsets in the playoffs, but I think as of right now, it's going to be the Bucks out of the East and the Warriors out of the West. But so far this season, on Tuesday night, the Celtics beat the 76ers 126 to 117, and the Warriors beat the Lakers 123 to 109. And then Wednesday night, just about every single team played. The Pistons beat the Magic 113 to 109. The Wizards beat the Pacers 114 to 107. The Raptors over the Cavaliers 108 to 105. The Bulls beat the Heat 116 to 108. The Pelicans beat the Nets 130 to 108. The Hawks beat the Rockets 117 to 107. The Grizzlies beat the Knicks 115 to 112. The Timberwolves beat the Thunder 115 to 108. The Hornets beat the Spurs 129 to 102. The Jazz beat the Nuggets 123 to 102. The Suns beat the Mavericks 107 to 105. And then the Blazers beat the Kings 115 to 108. Now, if you know anything at all about the NBA, you know that most of the time, the way the NBA works is Wednesday night, just about everybody plays, and on Friday nights, just about everybody plays. And then Tuesday nights, typically, there's 2 games on, and that's it. And then Thursday nights, there's usually 2 games on, and that's it. And then Monday, Saturday, and Sunday, it'll just be sporadic games every week. But typically, Wednesday nights and Friday nights is the 2 nights that everybody plays. So if you want to watch the NBA, your best chance is going to be on Tuesdays and Thursdays when there's a doubleheader on, and it's typically either TBS or TNT. And then usually on Friday nights, after football ends, ESPN carries a doubleheader, but most of the games come on your regional sports network. So unless you like the local team, your best bet's going to be Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays because basketball just doesn't come on like football and like baseball. So unless you like your local team, your best bet is just look for the doubleheader games on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. And of course, if you have NBA TV, they usually carry just about 1 game every single night all throughout the year. But my Pelicans Wednesday night, I was proud of them because they started CJ McCollum at point guard. Now, he is not typically a point guard. He scores too much and shoots too much to be a point guard, but they really don't have a point guard with the exception of Devontae Graham. And I actually thought that coming out of college, Devontae Graham was going to be a really good player in the NBA, and for whatever reason, it just has not worked. He does fine passing the ball, but for some reason, he just cannot score. And this day and time, basketball is all about offense, and you cannot play a point guard who scores about 4 points a game. You just can't do it. But with Brandon Ingram pretty much going to give you 25 plus every game, which, by the way, isn't Brandon a great name? If your mom really loves you, she names you Brandon. And if Zion Williamson can stay healthy, he's going to give you 25 plus every single game. So CJ McCollum really doesn't need to go out there and try to put up 30 plus points every single night. But it'll be interesting to see if he can adjust to being the point guard, if he is going to be their point guard all year long, because, like I said, they really, truly don't have one. So maybe he'll be the point guard until they decide what to do next. But I would rather play him than play Devontae Graham, because Devontae is just not going to score. But on tap for this weekend in the NFL, we have the Browns and the Ravens. We have the Bucks and the Panthers, which, by the way, so far the Bucks just look bad. I had a feeling they would because Bruce Arians retired. They've got a new head coach. He's been a coach before, and I've just never thought he was that good. And so far the Bucks look bad. We got the Falcons and the Bengals, the Lions and the Cowboys, the Giants and the Jaguars, the Packers and the Commanders, the Colts and the Titans, the Texans and the Raiders, the Jets and the Broncos, which, by the way, a lot of people think the Jets right now are one of the best 5 teams in the NFL, and it's been a long, long time since Jets fans had anything to cheer about. So just getting off to this good start is good for the Jets. We'll see how long they can keep it going. The Chiefs and the 49ers, the Seahawks and the Chargers, the Steelers and the Dolphins, and Monday Night Football is going to be the Bears and the Patriots. And you know, I've mentioned before that if you're going to rebuild, you have to rebuild. You can't get stuck in the middle. I talked about it last year with the Falcons because it looked like the Falcons were going to do a complete rebuild heading into last year, but then they decided to keep Matt Ryan. Of course, he's gone now, but he was there last year. You can't do that. You can't say, hey, we're going to rebuild, but you keep one great player. If you're going to rebuild and do a true rebuild, you have to just get rid of everybody and start from the bottom and start over again. In the NBA right now, you have 2 teams that do not know that. And that's the Portland Trailblazers and the Washington Wizards. Both teams pretty much look like they're in tank mode, but yet both teams kept one star player. I'm not going to say superstar because the word superstar gets overused big time in the NBA, but I will say a star player. Both teams kept one star player and got rid of everybody else, and you can't do that. You're either going to have to rebuild or you don't rebuild. You can't say, hey, we're rebuilding, but we're going to keep you because you're great. That's not how you rebuild. It don't matter how good a player is. If you're going to rebuild, you've got to rebuild like the Panthers are doing right now. The Panthers have pretty much said everybody on their team, including Christian McCaffrey, is available via a trade. That's how you rebuild. If you're going to rebuild, just get rid of all of it and start over again. Don't get rid of everything and keep one thing. Either rebuild or you don't. Portland and the Wizards have to figure that out. Any thoughts on the NBA so far? Please feel free to let me know. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. How do you make a tissue dance? You put a little boogie in it. And that wraps it up for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.